After my urgent C-section, I sent a text. "I can't handle this by myself. Please, someone help." No response came. The next day, my sister shared a post on social media. "Family fun day." 3 weeks later, still frail and struggling to move, my phone suddenly glowed with 47 missed calls and a text from my father. "Send $4,800 or face consequences." Holding my newborn, I replied. I was still numb below the waist when they rolled me out of the operating room. Everything felt dreamlike. The bright lights, the hushed voices, the distant wails from other delivery rooms. I had pictured it so differently, cradling my baby with trembling hands, my heart bursting, perhaps shedding happy tears. Instead, there was just this hollow void. I gazed at the ceiling tiles, only half hearing the nurse mention something about a successful operation. My daughter had been taken to the NICU for observation. I hadn't even held her yet. I was utterly alone. No one showed up, not my mom, not my sister, not a single relative, and certainly not him. The baby's father had vanished when I was 7 months pregnant. No argument, no clear reason. One evening he said he needed space to think and never returned. A week later, I texted to check on him and he replied, "I'm fine," and nothing more. That was the last I heard from him. In the weeks before the birth, I tried to convince myself it didn't matter. I'd be resilient. I'd manage without him. I didn't need anyone. But when they told me an emergency C-section was necessary and rushed me into prep, I realized how much I'd been deceiving myself. In the recovery room, trembling and alone, I grabbed my phone and typed the most truthful words I'd said in months. "I can't do this by myself. Please, someone help." I sent it to my mom, my sister, and even my dad, who I hadn't spoken to in nearly a year. I didn't care about our past. I just needed someone to be there. I stared at the screen, waiting for a vibration, a chime, anything. But there was nothing. My phone died overnight. When a nurse gave me a charger the next morning, I powered it on immediately. No missed calls, no new texts, just a social media alert. I opened it. It was a tagged photo from my sister, a group selfie at a vineyard with the caption, "Family fun day." Brunch and wine with my favorite people clinking red. It felt like a blow to my chest. She had seen my message. The read receipt confirmed it. I stared at her post for ages, torn between fury and humiliation. I didn't respond to her or anyone else after that. 3 days later, I was released from the hospital. Still in pain, barely able to stand straight, I made it home. Just me and my baby girl. No one visited. No flowers, no meals, no silly diaper cakes. I ordered takeout when I could afford it and paid the neighbor's kid $10 to carry groceries upstairs, begging him not to tell anyone. I cried in the hallway afterward. 3 weeks dragged by like that, bleeding, leaking, aching, feeding my daughter on 2-hour sleep cycles, taking quick sponge baths when I could. Silence from everyone until that morning. I was cradling my daughter, who had finally dozed off after an hour of crying, when my phone buzzed so fiercely it nearly fell off the armrest. 47 missed calls. I blinked, thinking it was a glitch. Then came the text from my dad. "Send $4,800 or face consequences." No greeting, no questions about the baby, no concern, just a demand. My heart raced so fast I felt nauseous. I reread the message 5 times. The call log confirmed it, 47 calls from my parents and sister in an hour. I typed back one word, "No." No period, no explanation. I owed them nothing. I didn't know what or else meant, and I didn't care. Something inside me broke that day, sharp and final. But that wasn't the end, far from it. It was only the start. The reply wasn't a text. It was a knock. 2 mornings after my refusal, I was on the couch, my daughter nestled against me, still in the same oversized sweatshirt I'd worn all week when the pounding began, not a polite knock, but fists hammering the door like they meant to break it. My stomach sank. I froze. My daughter stirred, then wailed as if she sensed the fear too. Shuffling over, still sore from surgery, I peeked through the peephole, my breath caught. My parents, both of them, stood there. I hadn't seen them in almost a year, not even during my pregnancy. My mom had made it clear she disapproved of my choice to keep the baby after the father left. My dad had just vanished. Now they were here. I opened the door because they weren't going to leave quietly. They pushed past me like they owned the place. My mom scanned the apartment with a judgmental glare. My dad headed straight to the kitchen and opened the fridge. No greeting, no "how are you?" or "can we see the baby?" They launched into a conversation as if we'd been talking for hours. They needed money. My sister's wedding was happening sooner than planned. Her boyfriend, now fiancé, had botched something financially and they were short, desperately short. The venue was demanding payment, the photographer was about to bail, and the dress deposit was overdue. They didn't ask for help. They expected it. When I stayed silent, my mom escalated. She called me selfish, said family supports family, accused me of holding a meaningless grudge. She said having a baby didn't excuse me from my duties to them. I asked where they'd been 3 weeks ago when I begged for help. My dad said I should have handled it quietly, like an adult. My hands trembled. Then came the guilt trip about my sister's struggles, how she was working so hard to make things work with her fiancé, who was just having a hard time. A hard time. He got drunk last Thanksgiving and punched a hole in their wall because someone criticized his mashed potatoes. But sure, call it a rough patch. I said no again. That's when it got loud. My mom raised her voice. My dad accused me of acting like a victim. My daughter, who had just fallen asleep, woke up screaming. They didn't even pause. I picked her up, said nothing, and walked to the door. I held it open. They didn't move at first, then slowly stepped out, still muttering, acting like I was the one who owed them. My dad said I'd regret it. My mom warned me not to expect help when my life fell apart. I shut the door, locked it, and didn't cry. I was too exhausted. That night I scrolled through my contacts and stopped on a name I hadn't called in nearly a year. Noah. He'd been there for everything once, before the pregnancy, before the breakup. He was the friend who always checked in, even when we grew distant. When I was with my ex, Noah kept his distance respectfully. But when my ex left, Noah sent a simple text. "You good?" I never replied. Now I sent him a photo of my daughter, no caption, no context, just her. He responded instantly, "She's beautiful." "You okay?" I stared at his words for a long time. Then I typed, "I need help." I wasn't sure what I meant, but I knew it was true. For the first time in weeks, I wasn't alone. Noah showed up the next morning without me asking. He just texted, "I'm outside. No pressure." I hesitated at the door, unsure of how I looked, then decided it didn't matter. He carried 2 bags, groceries in one, baby supplies in the other. He'd even brought extra formula, though I hadn't mentioned I was supplementing. He stepped inside carefully, not overly slow, just considerate. He didn't comment on the apartment's mess or my exhausted appearance. He just asked if I wanted tea or coffee. That first day, he didn't mention my family. We sat quietly. I fed the baby while he cleaned dishes I'd left piled up. Later, he asked if I'd eaten. I hadn't, and I hadn't even noticed. He made simple pasta with butter and garlic, and we ate in silence. My daughter lay between us in her bassinet, squirming. At one point, Noah gently moved her tiny hand from her face. I caught myself staring at him too long. After he left, I checked my phone. 32 unread messages, mostly from my mom, a few from my sister, 2 from unknown numbers, likely my dad. They weren't pretending anymore. My mom sent photos of my sister crying in her wedding dress, saying I was ruining her big day, that a good person would help despite everything. Then another message. "We'll have to take drastic steps. I don't want it to come to that." I didn't respond. The next day, I found a note taped to my door when I returned from checking the mailbox. Written in black marker on lined paper, it read, "Family doesn't abandon family. You're not as untouchable as you think, you'll see." I called Noah in a panic. I don't even remember what I said. He arrived in 20 minutes. When I showed him the note, he didn't sit. He photographed it, pulled out a notepad, and started jotting down dates, times, and every incident I mentioned. He asked if I had screenshots. I did, everything. "I'm talking to someone I know," he said. "This is getting into legal territory." He meant it not just to comfort me, but it didn't stop. Later that week, someone tried to unlock my door. I was home, and Noah was there, helping me sort baby clothes. We heard keys jangle, then a muffled curse. Noah flung the door open, but whoever it was had already fled down the stairwell. We didn't sleep that night. The next morning, an envelope was slid under the door. Inside was a crumpled printout from a wedding planner's website, with $4,800 circled and a note scrawled beneath. "You can't pretend you're not part of this family." I handed it to Noah. He didn't flinch, just pulled out his phone and dialed. I asked who he was calling. "A friend in law enforcement," he said. "We're done being polite." I realized then I hadn't felt safe in weeks, maybe months, maybe ever. With Noah taking charge, I finally understood what safety could feel like. I thought the police report would be the turning point. For 2 days, I let myself believe the threat of legal action would make them stop. I even slept without triple-checking the locks. Then the mail arrived, an ordinary envelope, no return address, but it felt too heavy. Inside was a typed letter, my full name at the top. "If you won't help your sister on her biggest day, don't expect to be part of the next one. We've arranged to visit." No signature, but worse was the attachment. Printed directions to my apartment from a county assessor's office, not a map app, official records, and a photo, grainy, taken at night from across the street. My living room window, curtains half open, the light on, my daughter's bassinet faintly visible. Someone had been watching. I called Noah, my voice shaking so much I dropped the phone mid-call. He arrived in 20 minutes, studied the letter, photo, and envelope in silence, then stepped outside to make a call I didn't ask about. When he returned, his expression was different. "You're not staying here tonight," he said. I protested. I had diapers, clothes, bottles, but he'd already packed a bag for me and had a car seat in his car. He told me to grab essentials and we'd get the rest later. He wasn't asking. We left. His place was small but tidy, quiet, and warm. He set up the guest room with a borrowed portable crib, fresh blankets, and a noise machine playing soft ocean waves. I didn't ask where he got it. That night, lying beside my daughter, listening to her breathe, I realized I wasn't scared for the first time in weeks. The next morning, my bank sent a notification. 3 failed login attempts from an unknown device overnight. I froze. I hadn't used public Wi-Fi or shared passwords, but then I remembered, months ago, I'd logged into my bank account on my mom's tablet when she borrowed my phone for a dead battery excuse. I hadn't logged out. I showed Noah. He didn't speak, just grabbed his phone. By noon, the police updated the report to include attempted financial access. Noah insisted they investigate the lease access and the mail. Then he asked if I'd consider breaking my lease permanently. "Move in with me," he said. I laughed, thinking it was a joke, but he was serious. "This isn't temporary, Scarlett. They won't stop. You need a place they can't find you. I have room for both of you." It was sudden, too quick, but not wrong. He wasn't just offering a hideout. He was offering safety, stability for me and my daughter. I didn't say yes then, but I didn't say no either. The decision came that night. We were in his living room, exhausted, the baby asleep. Then a message came to Noah's phone, not mine. A photo of his truck outside his house, taken from a car, someone watching. The text read, "You can hide her, but not forever." Noah didn't speak, just grabbed his keys, went outside, and made a call. 10 minutes later, he returned, locked the door, and said, "That's it. I'm handling this. You're not dealing with them again." I didn't ask what he meant. I just nodded and said, "Okay, I'll move in." That's when everything shifted. We moved my things in one trip. Noah called a friend with a van, and we packed my life, boxes, bags, baby gear, in 2 hours. No farewells, no hesitation, just silence. I didn't even tell the landlord in person. Noah paid the lease penalty without flinching and told me it was a gift, not a debt. "This is about safety," he said. The first night at Noah's felt like breathing after suffocating for weeks. The guest room was plain, white walls, a humming lamp, but it was warm, quiet, safe. He'd set up the crib, stocked diapers, and folded wipes and burp cloths on the dresser. He never said, "This is your home." He didn't need to. But my family wouldn't let it go. The first message hit my old email, a guilt trip masked as worry. "You've changed. You're not thinking straight. Don't let him cut you off from us. We're your blood." Then they called Noah's workplace, my dad somehow getting the number, claiming Noah was hiding an unstable woman and his grandchild, threatening legal action. Noah didn't ignore it. He came home early, jaw tight, phone in hand like it had insulted him. He called the officer we'd worked with, updated the report, and took me to the station. We met with a domestic crimes officer, a calm, sharp-eyed woman. We handed over everything, the letters, screenshots, a saved voicemail from my sister saying, "He's my dad and I'll get what's mine one way or another." The officer reviewed Noah's packet and said, "They're escalating. You did the right thing." She explained restraining orders, documentation, and how to scrub my name from online databases. Then she looked at me and said, "They'll try again, but you have the control now." My throat tightened, but I didn't cry. I was beyond that. Leaving the station, Noah didn't drive home. He stopped at a small diner outside town. We hadn't eaten all day. We sat by the window, the baby asleep in her car seat. He ordered for us without asking, then said casually, "I'm not doing this just as a friend." I looked at him. He stared out the window, then added, "You and her aren't a burden. I want you here for real." I didn't respond. I didn't know how. That night he helped settle the baby, then checked the locks twice. I noticed a calendar on the fridge with my name written 2 weeks out. Court filing RO plus security upgrade. He was building a fortress, ready to stand guard. 2 weeks later, we stood in the courtroom as the judge reviewed our evidence. Messages, threats, the window photo, my sister's voicemail, the bank login attempts. He barely spoke, just granted the restraining order. My family didn't show up to contest it. I wanted to feel triumphant, but I just felt numb. I wasn't victorious. I was free. Noah was quiet on the drive home, checking the rearview mirror constantly. My daughter slept in the back, clutching her blanket. At home, I found a sticky note on the fridge. Today, we secure peace for good. Noah didn't mention it, just let me find it while putting away groceries. That was him, quiet, steady, thoughtful in ways I hadn't noticed until I needed him most. We didn't celebrate with fanfare, just sat on the porch that night, the baby monitor humming between us. The air was warm, a still summer evening. Noah grilled burgers and corn, nothing special. He said, "I don't miss the old you." I looked at him, surprised. "You were always amazing," he said, "but now you're more, stronger, fiercer. You know what you won't tolerate." I didn't reply, he was right. Weeks later, we made it official. I stopped calling it his house. We split bills, chores, late-night feedings. Somewhere in that, we became more than friends. One night, I found him asleep on the couch, my daughter on his chest, their breaths in sync. I watched them and something shifted. I was in love, not just grateful, not just relieved, in love. I told him 2 nights later while folding laundry, nothing dramatic. He looked up and said, "I've been waiting to hear that for a long time." That was it. No grand gestures, just peace. We moved the crib to the master bedroom, planned to turn the guest room into a playroom. Life became simple, safe. No more blocked numbers, no threats, no glancing over my shoulder in parking lots. A friend mentioned my sister's wedding, backyard, cheap decorations, her looking miserable. A month later, her husband pawned my dad's jewelry after a drunken fight. My dad kicked him out. Divorce papers followed. No one's contacted me since. They don't know my address or number. I deleted my social media long ago. Sometimes I wonder if I was too harsh, if cutting them off was too final. But then I remember that photo of my window, the envelope with directions, the note saying, "You're not as untouchable as you think." I didn't vanish. I built a life they can't touch. Now I wake up in a home where I'm valued, where my daughter is safe, where love is steady and quiet. I'm not surviving, I'm living, and they'll never find me. 2 months later, the house felt like home, not a hideout. My daughter slept through most nights, giggled at her reflection, and clung to Noah's fingers like he'd always been there. Some days I almost forgot the past. Almost. Then my old phone buzzed. I hadn't turned it on in weeks, but I needed a tax code. Messages flooded in, 24 voicemails, 43 texts, some just days old, all from my parents. They wanted to talk, not about the past, they claimed, just to clear things up. My mom offered a safe, neutral meeting. My sister had matured and wanted to apologize, they said. No mention of money, just family peace. I stared at those words. Noah saw my face and said, "If you want me there, I'm there." I didn't commit either way. 3 days later, I agreed to meet at a busy downtown cafe, bright, crowded, no shadows to lurk in. I said I'd come alone, but didn't mention Noah would be parked across the street. They were already there when I arrived. My mom half stood, expecting a hug. I didn't move. My sister looked exhausted. My dad gave a stiff smile like we were strangers at a wake. I sat and spoke first. "I don't owe you anything, not time, forgiveness, money, or presents." My mom flinched like I'd struck her. My sister said she never meant to hurt me, blaming wedding stress. My dad stayed silent until I asked, "Did you plan that photo of my window?" He didn't answer, so I continued. "You showed me who you are when I needed you most. That stays with me. I'm not here for closure. I'm here to say don't contact me again. I don't trust you. I don't want you in my life. I'm not angry. I'm done." My mom acted shocked, said they just wanted to know their granddaughter. I shook my head. "She has a family. She has someone who shows up." I stood, told them not to follow, and left. Noah was waiting in the car. I said nothing, just buckled up and stared out the window. "Anything worth sharing?" he asked. "No," I said. "They never will." That was 2 weeks ago. No new messages, no letters, no surprise visits. I don't know if they finally got it or if they're just regrouping, but I've made my choice. That part of my life is over, and I'm not reopening it.